Welcome to our lab on the lower limbs. The lower limbs are made up of the pelvic girdle, the femur, the patella, the tibia, the fibula, and the foot. So, part one, we're just getting used to the bones. Like part one for the arms, we have a bone box. The bone box only has leg bones. I thought about being mean and giving you some arm bones, but I didn't. And what you're going to do is try to do a left and a right. Again, this is the person's left and right, so right goes over here, left goes here, so it's going to be a mirror image of you. And put them in the right anatomical position. And this is like the other one, you drag it over, put it in the right place, and you're then going to screenshot it, tell why you chose to do it that way, and then you're going to check your answers. Again, I want to focus on, this is what the bones look like. Oh, does it go there? Does it go there? Where does it correctly go? And then we're going to worry about the landmarks in the next parts. So, I need to explain how the limb bones go and why this is one direction and the one that's right off the screen is another direction. So, let's look at this. So, we have two skeletons. We have Laverne and Curly. So, the hip is made up of three bones. We have the pubic bone right here. There's part of the pubic bone. And that's the bony structure right in your pubic region, hence the name pubic bone. This is the ilium. You could feel your iliac crest right here. And then on your back here, this is your ischium. Yoga teachers call it the sits bone. I was actually doing a Peloton workout and the teacher called it the sits bone. It's the ischium. And this is the ischial tuberosity. I went for a 20-mile bike ride yesterday. And I had 3-inch padding on my bike shorts, so I wasn't feeling it. But if you don't have padding on your bike shorts, that's the bone that you feel after a few miles. So, 3 bones again. This is the ilium, this is the ischium, and then the pubic bone is in the front right there. Now, I know this is the back because I have this notch right here. That is the sciatic notch. And the sciatic nerve actually comes out of it and goes down the back of your leg. So, that's how I could tell that's the posterior side. The anterior side, I have the pubic bone right here. And I can tell left versus right because of this structure right here called the acetabulum. So here's a rotatable hip. It's what we're going to look at later. This is the sciatic notch, so I know this is the back. So I'm going to rotate it around. Here's my pubic bone facing the front. The acetabulum is this socket right here. It's facing lateral. The iliac crest has to be superior. So this is a right hip bone or right os coxa. So that's how I know this is the right bone and not the left. The left, we would have the acetabulum on the other side, the pubic bone on the other side. So that's how I tell left versus right for this bone. So this would be a right hip bone or right os coxa. Can I help you with that $10 piece of cheese? So here in the posterior view, acetabulum is lateral, ischium is posterior, pubic bone is anterior, so this is the left, this is the right. Whereas on the anterior view, acetabulum is lateral, ischium, that's the ischial spine, is posterior, pubic is anterior, so this is the person's left, it is your right. This is the person's right, it is your left. So, those are the hip. We're now going to go on to the femur. The femur is similar to the humerus in that it has a ball-shaped head that is medial, so 2 ball-shaped heads, and it has condyles on the distal end, or condyle-like structures, I should say. Now, there's an important difference. See here on the distal end of the femur, these condyles, these are true condyles, are facing to the posterior. So the condyles of the femur are facing to the back. Whereas, if I scroll up to the humerus, the condyle-like structures are actually facing to the anterior. So when you flex your knee, it goes backwards or to the posterior. So our femur, medial head. This is a trochanter right there. I love trochanters, by the way. That's a trochanter. The big greater trochanter is lateral. The head is medial. We have the lesser trochanter is facing posterior and medially. So this is the lesser trochanter. And then there's this line going down the middle called the linea aspera. It means rough line. So that is how you tell the femurs apart. The femur that's anterior, you can't see the condyles in the front. The femur that's posterior, the condyles are facing. You could see the condyles. So this would be a right femur. This is a left femur. This is a left femur. This is a right femur. Now, the patella is your kneecap. It has a triangular-shaped apex, and I think one of them I put upside down with the apex facing up, and then a more oval-shaped base. Now, if I gave you real ones to play with, the fun fact about this bone is there's smooth facets on the back, and the right one here falls to the right side. The left one here falls to the left side, and that is if you're putting the apex away from you. So that's your party trick of the day. Now, I want you to notice this side is rough. It has the patellar tendon, quadriceps, patellar ligament, whatever they're calling it today, goes through here. Now, on the back side, you see how the patellar surface here is sort of smooth? The back of the patella, the posterior surface of the patella is also smooth. So here are two patellas. 317 is the apex, which faces distally. The base is more rounded. It faces proximally. Now the back side, this is more smooth. So see how this is rough, this is smooth. So 319 is where the quadriceps tendon magically becomes the patellar ligament. That's their surface where it anchors onto, where here it's nice and smooth because it's articulating with the patellar surface of the femur. And want to know how I can tell this is a right one? It has a right on it. So I told that joke too many times in lecture, I'm sorry. So now we have the tibia and the fibula. Tibia does not have an L in it, fibula does. One of my colleagues has anaphylactic shock when people put L in tibia. So the tibia is shaped like a T. Ta-da! It's a T-shaped bone. So this tibia is still shaped like a T. The fibula is this long, narrow, skinny bone. Now, I'm going to tell you when I go into anaphylactic shock about these bones. When I go to the Halloween store, this bone, what was it called? That's right, the fibula, is on the wrong side of the skeleton. In every Halloween store, they put it on this side. My wife steers me away from skeletons now. The tibia is going to end up the medial bone. And your medial ankle bone right there, that's your medial ankle bone, that is on the tibia. So your shin here, you could actually feel your shin. It's going to go to the medial side. Your medial ankle bone is part of your tibia. So here's our T for tibia, medial ankle bone. Lateral ankle bone is part of your fibula, right there. And we're going to learn these are called malleoli, or malleoluses. So this is the tibia. Its malleolus right there is medial. This malleolus is trying to hide behind the stand. See, the tibia, the malleolus is medial. Now the fibula, the malleolus is lateral. So the fibula is always lateral, and the malleolus is lateral. So here's the malleolus, right there. It is lateral. And the head of it's actually hiding behind the condyle. So, remember our femur, how the condyles face to the posterior? Going condyle to condyles? Well, the condyles of the tibia also face to the back. So these two condyles are facing to the posterior. Whereas I can't see the condyles really there. Technically, I know that's the condyle, but it's really facing to the posterior. Lastly, There's a tuberosity right there. It's called the tibial tuberosity. It should be hot pink. So there's the tibial tuberosity. And the patellar, actually the quadriceps tendon, magically becomes the patellar tendon, is going to attach right there. So this has to be anterior. So the way you tell a tibia, left versus right, the malleolus is medial. So this would be the right. This would be the left one. This is the right one. Remember, this is the patient's right and left. And what I do is I actually, for some of the bones, like just turn the screen or turn my head or even turn the bone going, how the heck would it be oriented on me? So now that we've gone over the bones, I hope these orientations make more sense to you. And pay attention to like the bone shapes, the bone landmarks. I will ask you some left versus right on the test, but it'll be obvious bones like a femur here, not what the heck is that fibula doing. So, thank you. Have a good day.